Hello and welcome to everyone. Today our guest is Bkfc fighter Noah Cutter. Noah, thank you for accepting the invitation for the interview. What can you say about yourself in general? I mean, about general achievements, fighting career.
Well, I come from mixed martial arts background, amateur and professional, and mainly a kickboxer, more of a traditional martial arts, almost karate type striker and kickboxer.
This was your first martial art.
MMA, MMA. I never did any traditional martial arts training. I never did karate, but MMA when I was 22 was the first martial art that I got into was mixed martial arts. So just training all of it.
Who are your coaches and sparring partners at the moment?
I have a mixed martial arts coach that I use from my original coach, and then I have a boxing coach that I'm using in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And my sparring partners, it's pretty much, it's not anyone set. It's just basically guys at the gym, and I only spar when I have fights coming up. Like I don't spar every week when I go to the gym.
Excellent. Do you have a nickname?
No, no nickname yet.
Fans didn't give you some preposition or some idea.
Yeah, I got some, but I don't know. I didn't get anything that I liked, and I really wanted to hear more from like some guys that I trained with, and I didn't hear. It was more just like people that follow me on Instagram, funny names and stuff like that. But we're gonna get one here soon, man. I just kind of I want it to be given to me. You know what I mean? I don't want to give myself my own nickname. That's not how it really works.
Yeah, I know. My nickname was also given by the fans. It was not my idea, so I understand you. In MMA world, that's how it goes. Which is your
Right.
favorite punch?
Whew, man. Probably my cross, and I like, from, man, favorite punch. I'd have to say probably my right cross or my right overhand.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite martial art?
Um, as far as like current or just in general, like everything,
Whatever, any martial art is okay.
I would have to say karate, man. Karate is one of my favorite martial arts because it's kind of different. It's different. It's a different style of kickboxing than what most people who usually train mixed martial arts are used to. Mixed martial artists usually use more of a Muay Thai style with their striking, whereas karate, there's very few martial artists in UFC and whatnot that use the traditional karate stance and are able to get away with that. I'd have to say karate is one of my favorite. My MMA coach is a 6 degree black belt in traditional karate, so Kempo karate, I do believe. So,
How does one day in your life look like?
um, well, like today, it's not there's not much going on at all. Honestly, wake up late and do a training session, but when I have a fight coming up, a day is usually wake up, do a exercise session, a session on my own, get all my exercises out of the way, take some time off, rest, maybe take a nap, and then if I have work, I'll go to work in the evening, or if I don't have work, I'll go and do my boxing training, and usually about 2 to 3 hours at a time for each session, the workout session and the boxing session, and get off, go home, and try to relax for a little while and go to bed.
How many amateur fights did you have in MMA?
I did 12 amateur fights, and I fought for. I did 12 fights. I went 8-4, and I won. I received a welterweight belt, and I also fought for another one, but I didn't win.
Who was your most difficult amateur opponent in MMA?
Um, most difficult amateur opponent in MMA. I remember I fought a guy at Combat Night 50, Malcolm Williams, and that was just the worst fight of my amateur. That was probably the worst fight of my whole career ever because I was just real undersized. I was real small at the time. It was a welterweight fight, and I think I weighed 170 pounds, just walking into the fight. This is for the belt that I was talking about that I didn't win the fight. And Malcolm, he went on to become a middleweight when he went pro. So he was a huge guy, and he just like steamrolled me in like a minute, man. That was probably the worst fight of my amateur career.
How did your first professional fight go in MMA?
My first pro fight in MMA was actually the only time that I have ever been knocked out in a fight against a guy. He was oh dang, his name is slipping me right now, but Dolan. Uh, he's short, man. He's a welterweight as well, 170, but he's 5'6", so he's about just as wide around as he is tall, man. He's just a little tree trunk, and had the wrong technique chasing him around, and he knocked me out with an overhand right. And that was the first and last time I ever been knocked out in sparring or anything. So.
Okay, first time for everything. How did
Right.
you? What happened against? I think it was your third fight, Justin Prescott.
Justin Prescott in let me think. That was my second to last pro fight. That was actually probably my sixth pro fight. Justin Prescott, I fought right after my first win, and he just subbed. What happened with Justin? He got me in a straight ankle lock, and ended up snapping my foot a little bit. He didn't break it, but he crushed some cartilage on the top of my foot or something like that to where it cracked, and yeah, I just had a tap.
In your first professional fight, I mean your first winning professional fight, what went well in that fight? You know, you have one MMA professional win, right?
Yes. You talking about what went well in that fight?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
fight is against that fight's against Mark Coker, and that was a good fight for me because we didn't wrestle at all. If you can find that fight, it's on my Instagram page. It was basically just a kickboxing match. You know what I mean? There was no shots, no takedowns, no submission attempts. So we just kickboxed for a half a round, and I was able to I knocked him out with. I didn't knock him out, but I got a TKO stoppage with an uppercut and then a knee to the body, and then some ground and pound to finish it off.
Looking back at your MMA career, who was the toughest opponent throughout MMA bouts, not counting amateur, only pro?
Professional MMA, man, I don't know. It's really hard to say. Because my problem with my MMA career is a lot of times I don't get to kickbox. So, I fight a lot of guys that are better at jiu-jitsu and wrestling than me. And so pretty much all my losses except for the first loss with the knockout are all submission losses. So, man, the toughness, I'll tell you what, I fought a guy, just off the top of my head, if I have to say, I fought a guy, Jacob Brunel, when I was at 155 pounds at combat night. And that guy was real tough, man. We went 3 rounds, and I front kicked him in the face with a crane kick. I mean, I hit him with everything I had at that time at that weight, which I was pretty small at that weight. But that guy was real tough, man. I'd have to say Jacob.
Why did you transition to bare knuckle?
Because of what I was just talking about, man. Like I said, I'm a striker. MMA, have a hard time finding guys that want to strike with me. Usually I don't get matched up with other strikers. I get matched up against a jiu-jitsu guy who just wants to take it down to the ground. I would love to kickbox or box, but in my area, just regionally, you already don't make a lot of money doing professional MMA regionally in the area, and then you make even a little bit less money doing pro kickboxing or pro boxing in the area. So bare knuckle boxing was a good opportunity to be able to strike, but also be able to make the maximum amount of money as far as a regional fighting circuit in my area. So I already love to throw hands, so it made sense. Also because of my traditional karate style with my kickboxing, a lot of the way you throw your punches is already kind of geared towards bare knuckle because karate, mixed martial arts, is for street situations and you obviously wouldn't have a glove on. So a lot of the striking is already centered around precision and technique, conditioning your hands. That's something my coach has always made me do. I've been doing knuckle push-ups ever since I started, not wearing wraps under the gloves to condition your hands and stuff like that. So it just made sense. And yeah, I'm 1-1 now. So I'm doing pretty well in my last fight, the fight that I lost. If anybody got to see it, I was pretty close to winning that fight. So I'm happy with the bare knuckle, and I think it's a perfect fit.
What can you say about your first professional bare knuckle fight?
It was pretty much what I expected, man. Was a guy that was going to bring it a lot faster action, a lot, especially the striking. The action begins to pick up much faster in a 2-minute round than it does in a 5-minute round, obviously in MMA, or a 3-minute round in professional boxing. So it was pretty much exactly what I expected, and my head movement is getting better. It's the main thing I need to work on, and so I got a little cut, but I got the knockout and 3 knockdowns, so pretty much what I expected, and it was all in the first round.
About the fight with Francesco Ricci, I looked the whole fight. Francesco Ricci was also my guest, just to know. And yeah, I looked the whole fight. And yeah, it was a very, very close fight. But you said you were very close to win the fight. So what made the critical difference in that fight? I mean, when I was watching the fight, I was very much unsure who was going to win until round 3. To be honest, it was a very even fight for me.
Yeah, well, I felt like the first round was definitely mine. Like, he got some shots and cut me a little bit, but obviously I got the 2 knockdowns. And after the second knockdown, I was pretty sure that it was over. I mean, it was it was it took all the 10 seconds, and he didn't seem very with it when we went back. And then at the end of the round, I managed to knock his mouthpiece out. And then when the round was over, I went over to my stool and I was sitting down, and my coach was talking to me, and I looked across the ring and I noticed he was still standing against the ropes. Like, he hadn't moved to his corner. He hadn't sat down or anything. So I thought, they were going to quit in between rounds, or maybe it'd be stopped. But he got through that. And then obviously, like you said, you talked to him. He's a cool guy, by the way. I don't have any problem with Front. Um, he got hit in the throat at some point. I don't know if that was in the first or the second. But then after the first, when he came out, it seemed like he started picking it back up. He definitely started coming back in the second and winning the second. I think he might have won the second. Either way, it was real close because it seemed when I went back and watched it, it looked like he came back, and I was giving it back a little bit, and then I had a good flurry at the end of the round. But the second round, he definitely came back and cut me up, and then the third round, I was just completely gassed, and I don't know if it was my training or if it was from the cuts, because I was bleeding a lot and losing a lot of blood. But man, after that second round, I was just completely gassed. It was also my technique. I was throwing a lot of punches and missing. And yeah, even after he got knocked down twice, he was just able to come back with a better gas tank in the third. And that's pretty much what did it. He got me, hit that punch in the face, and I was basically, yeah, just too tired to move anymore. And I ate it, but it didn't really knock me down like the same effect that my knockdowns had on him. I think it was kind of a little bit of a flash knockout when I knocked him down. When he hit me, it just went right into my face, and pretty much similar to that Alistair Overeem fight from last year when Alistair got hit in the face. The skin just completely split all the way up to my nose just about. So I took a knee, and was watching the blood come out, and I was breathing real hard from being so exhausted. I knew it was over, but I just went ahead and stood up and made the count. And then it's kind of a weird moment with the referee. He kind of asked me if I was okay to continue, and I thought it was pretty obvious that the fight was over at that point. So I just, you can see in the video, he kind of looks at me for a second, and you can't see it, but he says, "Are you good to continue?" And I just kind of spit a mouthful of blood off to the side, and then he calls it off. And uh, yeah, man, he just had a much better gas tank than I did, I think, and that his game plan was more. I think he was more of a slow starter, so he's more prone to go those 5 rounds better, and I'm a little more of a quick starter, like want to get that knockout in the first round. So I just overextended my gas tank, and he had plenty of gas to keep going. So
In bare knuckle, if you score 2 knockdowns, in MMA it would be 10-7. In bare knuckle, is it also around 10-7 or it's a different rule?
I don't know. I've been watching the events on the app as well, so I can hear the commentators a little bit more when they talk about stuff like that. And I'm not sure. I think I'm not even sure. Sometimes I hear them say if you get a knockdown, then that means you automatically won the round 10-9. And then, yeah, if you get another knockdown, it'd be a 10-7 or a 10-8 like you're saying. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how the scores work for bare knuckle. I've also seen, some fights where some scores have just been completely off the wall. So I don't know how they score it, quite honestly.
I know. Boxing has pretty much weird way to score the fights. In bare knuckle, there were some controversial scorecards, but not as many as in boxing. Boxing is the champion when it comes to controversial scorecards.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Which are your plans for the future in bare knuckle?
Well, right now we're getting ready for the next event. I was thinking that we were going to be fighting on the very next card, that Paige Van Zant card, but I've had some problems with my lip where there's been some embedded stitches that got lost basically when the doctor was taking it out. And so over a month later, I'm still dealing with this infection in my lip and getting pulled out 4 embedded stitches now. So either way, we're not fighting on that Paige Van Zant card since it's only 4 weeks away. We don't got enough time to get into full camp. I've just been tired, man. I've been fighting an infection. I've been exhausted all the time and trying to get back into training and doing my workouts, and I just can't get back to where I was. And I was like, why am I so tired all the time? And been taking antibiotics, but I finally got, I do believe, all the stitches pulled out of my lip. Now we're looking at the end of February or March is going to be the card that we're on. It's either going to be hopefully in Biloxi or Miami again, and yeah, it should be late February or early March. We're going to be back at Bkfc, man.
How is your health right now?
Now I'm better. Now I'm much better. I can feel my energy levels beginning to pick back up. Like I said, I'm finally getting over, I've had an infection in my face for 4 or 5 weeks, I think. So, and I didn't realize that, you know what I mean? Like I said, I started training the week after the fight when I still had stitches in my face and began to get back to it. I'm feeling good, especially now. Like I said, it was just, I think Christmas Day, I pulled another stitch out of my lip that was embedded. So now my energy levels are good. Today's Monday. I'm going to get back to full training 2 times a day. I'm going to go back to the gym after the new year. And what I really want to do is get on a regimen to where I go to a regular gym with a personal trainer who helps me with my exercise regimen, and then go to my boxing gym in the evening and work on my technique and stuff like that.
Outstanding. Would you like to add something to this interview or to give a shout out to somebody maybe?
Yeah, man. First off, I'd just like to say thanks. Thanks for having me on. This is cool. This is the first time I ever did a European interview with anybody, man. Um, I'd like to ask you real quick, what is the overall thought of the sport over there? Is it growing? Is it pretty popular? Or?
Well, I think you are going to be very disappointed with the answer because in my state, believe it or not, 95% of people don't even know what's bare knuckle. They know about MMA, they know about
Mhm.
boxing, but when you say bare knuckle, they are like, "What are you asking me?"
Okay. And where do you stay at?
Right now, I'm in Bulgaria. It's uh, it's Europe, Bulgaria. But for example, in Great Britain, bare knuckle is very popular. Ireland, it's
Right.
very popular. For example, in the western part. But when you go to the east, they don't even know what is bare knuckle. They know about MMA. They know very well about MMA. They know very well about boxing. But when you say bare knuckle, they are watching you like you're having 12 heads, if you know what I mean.
Okay. What's the most popular combat sport there?
Most popular combat sport is MMA and boxing, but in Bulgaria, as Bulgaria, number one is sambo. Then
Okay, that's what
number
I was
two,
thinking.
yeah, number one is sambo. Number two is we have a lot of good boxers, for example, Kubrat Pulev and such. And then you have MMA, then you have all other martial arts. But number one is sambo. And in Serbia, where I'm currently right now, well, number one is you can call MMA number one. We have Serbia has a lot of great MMA fighters, but in bare knuckle, it's just a totally new sport. We don't even have permission for bare knuckle tournaments here, and that's the problem, you
Gotcha.
know.
It's not sanctioned there yet.
Unfortunately, no. So if you love the sport, you got to find your own way to watch it.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just interested. I was thinking it was Sambo. That's why I asked.
Yeah, yeah, it's honest.
Um, okay, cool. I was just interested to know that, man. And yeah, that's about it. I'd like to give a shout out to my. I got two sponsors on board for the next fight so far. Fusion CBD, which I'm sure you see them all around with the bare knuckle guys,
Yeah.
and they really are great too, man. Their stuff does work really great. And I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Will from Training is Ritual is my other sponsor. He does like my clothing, and he's probably going to do my custom shirts and my shorts for my next fight. So shout out to those guys, and their all their stuff is listed in my Instagram if you want to check them out.
All right. I will put the video to creation now in around 2-3 hours. You can expect it.
Yeah, man. Let me know how I can watch it, and I'll put some clips up on my Instagram.
No problems. I will just send you video via IG.
Perfect.